Hey everybody, welcome back to SJGames Live. I'm Jimmy and I'm here today with Randy.
Heyo.
And we're going to be talking about dice and dice games. So we've got a lot of these that we've put out over the last year or so, maybe a little longer than that. Pandemic stuff. First Random Fun Dinner was a while back. Second one was more recent.
Sam Mitchke and I, during the pandemic, we said, well, what do people have at home? Well, they've got D6s and they've got decks of cards. We can still make games that people can experience something new, especially something you could play over Zoom.
That's half of it. The half is, what do you have that you can play games with? The other half of what we're doing today is a weird dice, because I like weird dice and we make a lot of weird dice. So let's see, find my camera spot over here with that. All right, that might be good. If we can zoom the right camera in a little bit, Brandon, I'm going to put some weird dice out here. First one we're going to start with is this big old chunky one here.
Chonker.
This is the Bad Luck die. So the Bad Luck die has 13. It's a 26-sided die. It has 13 symbols, each in red and in white, that are all different bad luck events. Are there any rules to go with it? No. But we've got an umbrella, lightning, black cats, ladders, upside down horseshoes, biohazards, a Friday the 13th calendar page, voodoo doll, crow, broken mirror, radiation, the number 4, and 666.
There's red and white versions of each of them, it looks like.
Yep, one of each.
It's
a big 26-sided die. So what is this for? It's for whatever you can think of to use it with. So part of what a lot of these dice are is sometimes they're just like, this is kind of a novelty die. What do you use it for? Who knows? I think a lot of these things can be used to add to tabletop role-playing games. If someone gets if you're in a campaign, you get one hand out a random curse or something, you roll this. You roll this carefully on a smaller table because it's fairly round. And it comes to stop on lightning, and then you can interpret that however you want to interpret that. But if you're throwing out random curses or ill effects, or your players have a cursed object, and maybe once a day or once a long rest, if you're doing 5th edition or something, you roll this die and find out what sort of things can happen to them if it's appropriate in your world. Like, maybe radiation doesn't mean anything particular to you for your world, but it can give you basically, a lot of these things will give you jumping off points.
Be aware of this at the end of, this bad thing's going to happen to you today.
Fortunately, it can be an omen, it can be something they wake up with every day. It can be they're in the lands that, like, if they're playing a Curse of Strahd campaign and just bad things are going to happen in general, you can add a few more bad things with this. Or even just, something for them to worry about, whether it comes up or not, who knows?
And taking the weight off of any GM for a thing they've got to come up with. Like, yeah, I know generally what could happen, but if I don't have to pick it, it's one less thing that I have to have a concentrated thought on.
Yeah, or if you're just interpreting it, you can be like, oh, and yeah, I'll remember that. It can just be a thing that guides their day,
right?
Or looms over their day, as the case may be.
There's a fall coming in your day,
right?
You're like, dang it, what does that mean? Well, it's vague.
And yeah, what do you have? Oh, the crow came up, and then you just let the players stew on that, or a ladder. They avoid ladders to say you don't have to do anything.
You let it organically bloom into something, and you just have to remember you put that feather in the day,
right? And you get to have this big chunky cool die that
just candy
that just sits there, right?
Make you sick.
You can just, after you've used it at least once, you could just like set that next to your DM screen and just let them stew about it. It can do its job all on its own once they know what it is. Hi Paul, hi VLOOKUP, how are you guys doing today? Are there 2 repeated colors on opposing sides? Let me find out. They are not on opposing sides.
As we were making these as often as I could, I said that, but even in production, because when you're making the layout for something to be printed, it isn't a 3D die that you have. It's really, it's like a
weird tessellated
layout.
thing, yeah.
They don't always. You have to know what's on the other side for it to match.
Sure. So that's one. A similar die. Open some of these. I have the knife.
I'm glad I work with people who can be trusted with sharp implements, because as Jimmy cuts right into the palm of his hand.
Dreams over, folks. We're going.
Yeah, right.
So similar, in a similar vein to that last die, we have the 7 Deadly Sins die, which, oh, that's interesting. That's how they got to stay up in there. It was a little glob of the sticky tack stuff to keep it pointed the right direction. But this is a die about the 7 Deadly Sins. And again, it is a 14-sided die, I believe. So we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 14-sided dice. So we have
D14.
we have envy, gluttony, wrath, lust, greed, sloth, and pride. Down. Thumbs down. Why are we thumbs down and stuff? So these are, your 7 deadly sins. You can use this for, again, any number of things. I would use it for either you could do omens again, or what overriding a day, or you can do what's this particular NPC's flaw? They're trying to bribe a random guard. You don't know what that guard wants. So what sin overrides his life? What is his major flaw? Oh, it's gluttony. So if they can find out through talking with him, or you give an aspect to him of like, what I'd really want is, you can give me a bottle of the really good wine from across the street, and I'll do that sort of thing. It just gives you an element to the character. You can throw those things in. Again, you don't have to think it up on the spot. You can have a little bit of guidance from the die and not have all the decision weight placed on you for what is this guy about? I don't know. He wasn't even supposed to talk to this guy. He was supposed to walk past him. Now they're trying to cut a deal.
Guard number 52. Let's
Right.
just look it up.
So again, this is the sort of thing. Curses. I like it as NPC flaws.
Works as a fidget spinner.
It works a little fidget spinner. You just sit here. All these specialty dice are can be cool.
D14s. They look pretty too.
Yeah. Almost looks like a D10, but you got extra on there.
I guess if you're doing like Angels and Demons holy stuff, that would be a good like sort of the old Innomine or anything like that. It could be good.
What ring of hell are they from, or something like that, or opposing virtues. But yeah, so we've got that. These again, I'm going to tell a similar vein. This is our odd dice set. Now it's not specifically. We've embedded that one. I'm not going to open these specifically because it is going to be hard. I'm going to cut myself. Don't do carefully. But in the odd dice set, we have a D5, a D7, a D13, and a D15.
Oh, that's right. It was this. I'm like, what are these special about?
They're literally odd
they're
dice.
The weird off number D.
And what I would do with these, were I to integrate these into a tabletop role-playing game, is why I think they're similar to the other ones, is I would use these for curses. If someone gets a curse laid on them, instead of a D6, they're rolling the D5 until they get the curse removed.
A D5 or a D7, depending on what your math says.
Yeah, if they're rolling a D8, you roll a D7, or a D10, maybe it's a D7. You get them there. They roll a die that does not have as many faces as it should normally have on it.
Or it has too many. They're like, you don't want a high number. Well, it's a little worse for you.
Yeah. Just the die is just a little worse because it's odd, and that's the curse that they have to do. And I've seen this as a meme where someone's like, yeah, you give them like you find a D19 or something, and
it's also
so the die itself is oh no. You don't get to touch that D6. You have to use your D5. It's a physical reminder of the curse that's laid on them until they can get rid of it.
It's also a good foil for people who have memorized percentages on dice and go, oh, no, I know I'm safe here. It pushes that player into a bit of uncertainty. Like, well, I don't know that. I think it's this.
But they don't know that it is exactly a 5% chance for all of this, or a 33% chance for that.
Even numbers you can at least estimate. You're like, well, I know I'm in the bottom half or I'm the top half. It's easy to get into halves and quarters.
But what's the individual percentage of any result on a D13?
Yeah, what is the percent of 1/7? Like, many of us know it, but many of your players are going to be like, well, what? You're a mathematician. You show them people.
Oh, hi, Rivka. Welcome in. I hope you're feeling better. Rivka says you could use them if they have a modifier too, so you don't have to add it. So yeah, if you had a D6, you have D6 plus 1, you could just roll the D7 for stuff.
All right, we're gonna do math. That's not quite the same, but
Yeah, because you had
You
that
could still
that
get the
1.
one.
You could still get the 1,
you're just shifting the curve up instead of
but it could also be a weirdly like you don't want to give them a whole plus 1 weapon. You can give them a D7 weapon.
yeah.
Like sometimes it can go a little higher, but it still has the same.
Change in the unknown can be fun and funny, and especially when you're intending, if a jester or a zany odd somebody gave them this benefit, and you're like, well, I don't. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know if it's better than a D6 plus 1. In this case, I think it is. It's
Or they make a deal with a fae or something or other.
Right.
They get this
Again,
charm.
the physical reminder that there's something very weird going on. You have been to someplace weird.
Or you're in some place weird and just this is what you're rolling in that place.
That's the thing.
Because it's just weird there.
I love the physical reminders of, especially when they are so integrated. It's hiding the tax prep of it. Like
Yeah. In a thing. Like in this case, like the D5 is just a D10 numbered 1 through 5 on both sides.
yeah,
The D7 is a smaller version of our D14 here with 1 through 7 on both sides. And I think the D15 and D13, D15 are just they're big polyhedrals.
yeah,
with-
you get the doubles. The easiest way to do a odd number is to just do it twice.
Yeah. So you have a D26 and a D30, I believe.
Otherwise, you have really weird barrels that.
You get the ones that are also physically odd shaped, and then you have to like figure out the geometry of can this actually roll even with it this way.
Yeah, usually you do a barrel with the sides are cut. You have that many sides, so it can't land on its end, and you're really just rolling the barrel to see which one to stop. And then it's odd, so it doesn't stop up. The number would be on a facet,
Facing
like
inside.
not even on a facet, on the edge.
Yeah. I've seen those earlier. They're kind of like triangles, so they'll stop.
It'll
Each
stop
face
on
is
the
a-
flat part, and then the face will be like printed on a peak.
Yeah.
So like the number will go right across the peak. It is a weird way to do it, but it is the other way to do it.
But yeah. So I like those for weirdness, curses, odd bonuses, slightly better or slightly worse.
Yeah.
Things that are
Fun.
just
If you're a dice
a
collector,
little weird. And
if
you know,
you're
all
a dice
these
collector and you don't have, like, being able to say as a dice collector,
Oh, I got a
I've got
D13,
every
yeah.
every whole number D from a D1 to a D15, which is a weird thing to say to people, but hey, you flex how you.
Hey, Rivka. Hey, Obos. How's it going? Welcome on. Just referencing on screen. Yeah. All right. So let's see. What else do we have here? So those are like the kind of unlucky sins or weird dice. These other two I really like for flavor, and that is the Zodiac die and the Elder Futhark die. And both of these with a let's go over here.
Everywhere, move them, yay!
Stop moving
There.
around.
Just-
Yeah,
Whoa!
So we have the Zodiac die and the Elder Futhark die. And these are both based off of their respective divination origins.
What is a Futhark?
So the Elder Futhark is the runic alphabet that the Nordic
Okay.
divination used. So it's the Elder Futhark are specifically these 24 symbols, yeah, that are kind of like they're part alphabet, part like runestone casting stuff.
How neat is it to work at a company that makes just the randomest, like
Well, we started with the Zodiac die. It was the
Yeah.
first one of these we did, and it's a big D12 that has really cool actual pictures of the Zodiac symbols on it, and that's cool in itself. The book, we've used this on some streams in the past. The book has like basic meanings for commonly accepted meanings for like a major, minor, and rising sign for like so you can say, oh, what were the signs of this particular character. Like I think last year at some point, Hunter and I generated some characters, not by rolling their stats, but by rolling this and seeing what their zodiac
Man.
said about them.
Yeah.
And then we took that in a later stream and made characters with that inspiration.
Because you could basically take a newspaper, like some major newspaper in the 80s, and make generic NPCs with just that die where you're like, oh, this is what their day is going to be like. Well, then this is what that human is going to be.
Exactly. And this has, like I said, each got a page of like, all right, this is if they're a Pisces, major and minor Aries, and then the rising is over here in this, then these are the sorts of things that are going to be heavily and minorly influence them. And it gives you some really good places you might not normally start from as a jumping off point for making a character, or for rapidly fleshing out the guy in the corner that they decided they wanted to talk to again.
Even if it's the only time they ever interact with him, giving depth to someone who otherwise wouldn't have depth, and not having to do a whole bunch of work to get there.
Even if you only roll the first one, like, okay, like they chose this random patron, like roll it once, look at the one paragraph and go, okay, this guy's kind of about this, and his bigger flaw is that cool, I got a quick concept, a 2-paragraph concept of an NPC that I can base his reactions off of, because he was literally a guy with a beer stein before just now. So it can give you either a way to quickly fill in little bits of a personality just so that they seem like he wasn't just a piece of set. He's a character that's a character with a personality there, or really good unexpected jumping off points for your own characters to, like, if you're like, I don't know, I have no idea, I got a game starting tomorrow, I have no idea where this guy is going.
I know
Give me
it's
some
basic
inspiration.
shtick, but I want to have more flesh on these bones.
Or even like you only go, oh, I like that shtick better. Like, I want to do a fighter. What do I want to know about the fighter? Well, I knew he was fighting with I was going to do sword and board, and I want him to be acrobatic in this. What does it tell me about his personality? Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get a starting point for the personality.
He's got no depth. He only has a pointy sword.
Right.
So let's give him something more to deal with.
You could randomly roll horoscopes. You can do that too.
Yeah.
D12 is his favorite polyhedral. I've got a friend who collects D12s. That is their favorite thing.
I suppose if you were sailing, if you had a sailing thing, the constellations in the sky, you're still using it like it is constellations.
Yeah, you can do the constellation stuff. Figure out that. Or if you have a character who wants to be a fortune teller and you ever have that aspect, you can have them do readings for people based off of this, or that sort of thing. Or any number of things you can load into. But this one, particularly the book that comes with it, is really handy for if you are not already into the zodiac stuff and don't have any knowledge of it. It gives you enough to use this to do like a basic reading for a character and come up with something for them. So I'm a real big fan of this one. I like this one a lot. And really fun to use in games. The Elder Futhark die is, the book talks about what each of the runes are. It's a little bit less on the divination part, because those are a little more in depth than just a zodiac. They ramp in depth pretty quickly. But you can get, each symbol has like certain meanings, kind of like a zodiac does. So you can get a basic reading for somebody, or a basic idea for something. And again, it's a slightly different theme rather than the zodiac. There's like 24 of these, and you can, or it could be something that like, oh, these are runes etched on a weapon. What does it mean for that weapon? What's the history of that weapon or item that they find, or a ruin that they find?
Why is it glowing?
Why is it glowing? What do they have to do? Or maybe it's got these in there and they have to do things that are related to that rune to make it activate or something like that.
Right. Story, items. How many do you know? You need these 5. Did I hit those 5? And you don't have to translate it to a table to translate it back. Right. Getting away from just a number on a die can be nice.
Can we get a random demonstration of rolling for Randy's daily horoscope?
Ooh.
I suppose we can open this one. It's not as embedded as the odd dice were. In fact, it probably looks like it's about to pop off here.
Things are popping off.
Been sitting on a shelf for a while. So, yes, we can.
Which my horoscope probably looks very similar to yours. Ooh, that's got
So
nice.
this is less like the daily horoscope. No, it's a nice chunky die. It's got nice big symbols on it. Like
Well, and the
they're
corners aren't as rounded. Um, when
Yeah.
you round that corner, instead of making it an abrupt flat edge, it tends to roll. Whereas these, if you can see in there in the camera, it is black and white. This is going to come to an abrupt stop.
Yeah.
You notice it with some of those that are like the big one. If it had more abrupt edges,
Yeah.
which it may not be able to do,
when you do a D26, it's
they don't
a little
roll as
harder.
far. So that'll rock. This one's not going to rock. It's going to just
Right. So this is less about daily horoscopes because there's not a today this, but what'd you roll? You rolled the Capricorn?
well.
No.
Let me
you
do a
rolled the
good one.
Aries.
I don't want to.
You rolled the
Ooh, I don't know. Is that
Virgo.
Virgo?
So in this case, and it's got all sorts of stuff. So the element is earth, the color is white, the metal is mercury, the vulnerability is digestive organs.
What?
So
Oh my
just
God.
just traditional like bits on it. Virgo is the sign of those born from August 24th through September 23rd. Virgo characters tend to be quiet, if not actually shy, and the Virgo nature is practical and perfectionist. A Virgo makes a good scholar, referee, or master of the imperial ceremonies. Those with the sun in Virgo are often fastidious and physically restless. The Virgo soldier will shine in their boots when they don't need it, just to keep moving. But they don't care for crowds, especially crowds of strangers. And so early in the beginning, they'll tell you that they're for a character you're going to roll 3 times. The first roll is their sun sign or the birth sign.
Okay.
So like if you were born in that time frame, your sun is Virgo, right? The second roll will be your lunar sign or your moon sign.
My
So for,
moon sign is Virgo.
so for gaming purposes, it would affect the emotions and that sort of thing. So a moon in Virgo. Virgo takes duty seriously and hates waste. Selfish Virgo simply thinks that everything not spent on themselves is wasted. But most will be generous to friends, though less so to strangers or the undeserving. Apply bonuses and penalties accordingly.
You might give me the 7 deadly sins. We'll find out if I'm a greedy Virgo.
Oh, yeah. You are prideful.
I'm prideful. All right.
And then your third role will be the ascendant sign or the rising sign, based on the time and location of your birth.
Cancer.
This reflects the character's inner nature, and so we would look up, in this case, the Cancer for the ascending sign. So Cancer ascending, the inner thoughts of a Cancer belong to that Cancer alone, and they are unlikely to share. Cancers may be highly intuitive, even psychic, but Cancer rising can also make one wary of first impressions. Penalty on Cancer's quick reactions towards others.
Oh.
So that's a quick.
That's neat.
That's a quick 3 rolls gives you
Something.
a main thing, and inner thoughts, and an ascending thing for the character, and it's a nice quick way to just generate a character prompt, basically.
There was depth to that quickly generated character.
Yeah, and it's
with
just
a flaw and their ways and
Yeah, those little booklets.
Yeah.
Are great.
just there's a little booklet and that one die, and it is a great. It's one of my favorite little, just like things we did because it was cool, but it really is a great little RP tool. Random curses. Digest organs is 100% accurate. I've heard it. Brother-in-law stabs himself up in an emergency room by opening a blister pack with a knife. Really? With witnesses? Yeah, that's why I wasn't trying for this one. This one probably needs scissors or an exact.
well, you got to be willing to ruin the backing too. I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah.
Because for those folks, just rip the cardboard. But we don't necessarily want to do that here.
All right. And the Food Lord Guide is the same thing as a booklet describing each of the runes and maybe ways you can use it and roll it for readings, that sort of stuff. Last one we have here.
I really like this.
This one is they're clever. So it's a D4 and a D26. Because again, we doubled the sides because it's 13, because it is a pick a card dice. So before we mess with it, we'll show it to.
I played a lot of card games with family as a kid. It was what we did at family gatherings. We in the Midwest, you sat at a table and you played like whatever, euchre, smear, whatever it was. Trick-taking games. If you're still doing it or you like that type of sitting around and enjoying time with people, this is a good way to find your trump card. Usually what you do to find trump in a game would be you'd shuffle, and then you're gonna flip a card up and okay, 10 of hearts is trump, so hearts is trump. With this, you could use just simply the suit die and determine hearts is trump. It gives you one more card in the deck, which is very relevant depending on number of players, because oftentimes you'll have like 4 or 5 or 6 cards that are dead because of the numbers of players. And if you're rolling both, you can come up with the 10 of hearts being trump. So not only would hearts be trump, but the 10 of hearts would be even further on top of it,
Right.
because the card isn't removed.
And so the die it's got all 4 suits on a D4, and it's got a D26, so ace through king on here. So you can roll any individual card with a roll.
Yep.
We just have
Those rounded corners mean you really want to contain that die. I have noticed that
the Queen of Clubs.
Yeah, Queen of Clubs. I've noticed that really.
Yeah, it's a very rounded die, so that you're going to want to like kind of catch or use a dice tray would be the best thing for this. Have a little tray, because you don't need a lot of space for it. You just need to get these 2 dice to roll.
It's also good for determining some trump or some card after people already have their hands, so you wouldn't have to redeal or anything like that. Or if you're partially played through, more versions of games that you make can do odd things that they weren't capable of doing before, or you needed other stuff to generate. But that guy I really like.
Yeah, the suit die is
D4.
great. Well, like this. So again, and this is really cool. Just having some dice, like, hey, look, these 2 dice, I can draw a card, any card. There you go.
It's got a book with it too, right?
But so separate thing, but it does have a booklet, a little game book called Roll the Deck. There we go. Which is a series of games using that guy, is using a standard deck of cards and these 2 dice. And there are a number of games in here. 1, 2, 3. It's like 11, and then some other thoughts. And it just, a lot of them are ways to, like you said, set a trump suit, that sort of thing.
Greatest power. Either that or a poison card. It's like, hey, here, this card is what's poisoned. And,
right, the dead card, that sort of thing.
Or 3s are the highest in their suit. Which actually, those weird house ruled, this is the best card in the suit happened a lot. Because people sought variety of card games they had played a million times.
Yes. Like they say, hey, you could just literally use this card to play 21.
Yeah.
These dice, because you roll for each draw. There you go.
It would allow, in some games, remember, it will allow you to draw the same card multiple times, which
right.
otherwise wouldn't be possible. Or it would require a shoe of cards with that many decks.
Yeah.
So with 3 draws would require a 3-deck shoe.
You could do a similar thing. You could do kind of war with the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of individual games here. I think one of the ones that we looked at this is a 2 to 4 player game. It's called Diamond Mine, right? It's a press your luck game with the cards on these dice. And each player gets an ace out of the deck, and you set the other aces aside.
I have some bicycle cards here that I keep in my card.
Yeah, another fun tool for fortune telling too. Tarot decks are originally done with a standard card deck. Yeah. You use a deck of cards in the Savage system. Lots of that could be neat. Yeah.
Don't focus too much on these cards. They are just a bicycle deck.
Yeah, we just found these. So we have a couple of aces here, and these dice. So each of us gets an ace, and then we take the other aces out, and then do
we need the rest of the deck?
Need the rest of the cards equally to each player.
All right. So there is no ace of spades. Am I shuffling?
If it needs to be shuffled, yeah.
It does. So I don't know what this is going to sound like on camera. So just accept.
Fine. No, it's not fine. It's fine.
Yay. Gonna make it worse. That's the question.
Jedi Kyle, welcome in.
Randy,
good to see you.
Randy, too far, Schooneman. Understood. Here we go. Oh yeah, those don't have that slab. A lot of paper doesn't bend at that same angle.
Yeah. But yeah, and again, you could also someone's like, oh, I want to draw a card. What card did I draw? When you pick a card, you picked the 7 of spades. And the magician produces the 7 of spades for you. Look at that.
All right, what am I doing with these?
Deal them evenly between us.
Evenly between you.
Now, what we're going to go into kind of for the rest of the stream here is a couple of examples of some of these lighter games. So in Roll the Deck is like I said, 10 games dealing with cards and these dice for 2 to 4 or 5 players, something like that. The Random Fun Generator books are games that use just dice. One of our packages includes a bunch of 6s that come with it.
They use cards as well.
Some use cards as well. Okay, but they are most of them are small little games, and we're going to do a couple of them here. But what I like these for, in addition to having like, hey, a whole bunch of games on hand, is that some of these smallest type of games you can also bring into your role-playing games, because any number of things, like in Cult of the Lamb, there is a little side dice game that you play with a couple of the characters. It's a 2-player dice game. I've actually adapted that to use it in a particular LARP where I'm the dealer and have to have a couple of games ready.
It could be a fun thing that's happening while the other guys are getting pizza. You're like, oh, they had to run off or something. Well, you're gonna do this minor thing, and
or if
still
you're,
have a
or if
game
you're
going.
gambling, you can have gambling games and stuff in there. You could have some of these games that are multiple players in there. Just things that are in there. Like it can even be you pick 1 or 2 that you really like. That can just be a thing that happens in a particular city or in your world, like The Witcher. They have the whole Gwent game that goes on, like big part of their world or setting.
You've got some weird siege warfare, and there's Bunker Buster in here. If you didn't have anybody who has any siege warfare knowledge, you can have something that's kind of thematic. That's quasi, like, there's choices involved.
You can use it to replace an actual action sort of thing, a scenario, or it can just be like, oh, this is just a game in the world. It just adds that depth to the world where, oh, everyone knows this game. It's what they play when they're gambling over in the corner at the tavern. Oh yeah, they play that here too. Oh, well, here they play it with a little different rule.
Rather than being ephemeral, it is a real thing.
It's a specific thing.
So you can get a little further into the characters and the
rather than just like, well, roll our normal dice and roll my gambling skill and see if I won.
Yeah.
You can still do that, but you can have a specific thing that you can occasionally make them play, and occasionally just, oh yeah, you played a game and here's what you roll. But you can occasionally bring them down into a closer resolution, have them play the game, and understand that it's got its own rules and strategies and stuff, so where they can back out of it. But that's still in their head of like, oh, I played that thing before. I know what they're doing.
Or you're sailing on a ship. There's tennis. So that
which a 2-headed dice game as well. Yep.
Contest versus the GM. There's plenty of 2-player games in here that are pretty simple. Where if I needed a contest between the GM and I, and it didn't really, I didn't want him to have superpowers because he's the GM, and I like give him a fair shake at playing. Not quite a coin toss, and you get to be involved in it. Yep.
All right, so we have the cards. Start each turn. You pull them over each turn. It keeps your hand. So you deal a random of cards out evenly each player. Everyone keeps this. This is our hand.
24 cards in our hand.
This is a 2 to 4 player game. At the start of each turn, everyone chooses and holds 1 card face down. Once everybody's done so, everyone simultaneously reveals their card. You push your real card up next to any previous card, so you gradually form a line of face-up cards in front of you.
Okay.
If you reveal your ace, you're out. When you go out, you score 1 point per card in front of you. You record your score and you add it to a previous total, so you can play many rounds of this. You cannot score again until the next round. So once you're out, you're done scoring. But you continue playing. But you keep playing cards from your hand until to the table each turn. But your ace determines when you left the game. Got it. Score.
I know it's.
When does the roll happen?
Oh, it's this guy.
Yeah. Place the cards around. Go on. Oh, if you're not out, you're in. If any players are in, you roll the dice, and if any face-up card matches the roll, everybody who's in busts and gets no score that turn.
So, is it 1 per card, or it's not the value of the card, right?
It's 1 per card.
Okay.
So for every round you stay in, you get a point.
So basically. It is a press your luck style game where you know the percentage odds of a lot.
Right.
All right. Is it
Right.
anybody who gets hit by it, or anybody?
If it's out on the table at all, everybody who's still in, everyone who's not out does not score. So if you've
Gotcha.
not already scored, when that comes up, you get no score.
Gotcha.
Ready?
I'm ready.
All right, I'm going to.
Got it. Queen of diamonds and five of clubs.
All right, we'll keep everyone separate
Yeah,
piles
I
for
just
scoring.
wanted to be out where people could see them.
All right.
Roll
the
that
dice?
will be in footage. Queen of hearts.
Queen of hearts.
Close or no?
No. All right. Next up,
I know this is. Got it. 7 of diamonds.
eight of clubs. You want to roll?
Do I? Go, little guy, to the other end of the world. 5
of hearts.
of hearts.
We're good.
All right. 4 cards on the table.
Bye, Refka. Thanks for dropping in.
All right, friend.
All right. Jack of clubs.
Jack of hearts. Roll.
Queen of diamonds.
Queen of diamonds. Did
We are both
exist.
out.
We both busted.
No
Shoot.
score. And I think at that point, so everyone retrieves their aces and all other cards, we shuffle and do another round. So we would keep doing that until we score, until
Better,
We're done
better
playing
with
the
above 2 people. You can do it with 2 people, but
Yeah.
this is a 3 or 4 person fetch your luck style game.
and you play 3 rounds. Whoever has the highest total
Highest
score
score
amongst the
wins.
3 rounds. But yeah, that's a thing. There's also some that there was a hold'em in here, sort of like a Texas hold'em, where the dice are providing some of the set cards and things. Most of them are for more than 2 players, so that's why we pulled that particular one for this. But yeah, all sorts of things you can do.
If you think about it, because this basic style of deck of cards has been around for so long, there has been so much invented to do with it that as you look at each of those individual components, there are many ways for this pair of dice to interact with it.
Yeah.
Where usually it would require another deck of cards at the table, which can cause some confusion, especially with the old and the young and people who aren't as mechanically inclined. Like, oh, but there's more cards, just mix them in. No, don't mix them in. Having the dice there can be a very interesting way to alter something that you've been playing forever. Whether it's to determine a poison card or a special suit or a special card in the deck or whatever. I like it.
Like you can even use part of it. Like we're gonna do spades, except that each round we're gonna roll to see what the trump suit is instead of spades, which makes your scoring all wonky.
Same
Right.
with just using the number die. If that card is highest or lowest, it can
Alter the
like the same hand of cards can be better or worse based on that die.
Yeah.
And it changes the predictability of something. When card games can get too set in their ways, they can get very stale. But it's fun.
Yeah, provides
Like-
a lot of little ways. Again, things you can bring into your game. And then again, even with the d6s, cards back over there.
Yay!
Even with just buckets of d6s, we can
Oh my
do
gosh.
a lot of these little games over here that are again things you can throw into your world, things you can use to simulate things in your world.
Right. We could go through a ton of them, but
Solitaire, but instead of rolling with an ace, so starting with ace, you have to start with die roll. Yep.
if you haven't gotten the chance to look at random fun generators,
Yeah, these are great. It's each one has over 20 games in it, right?
there's a lot of stuff. Our goal, Sam Mitchke and I ran through this, and Sam did a lot of the heavy lifting. The goal was to make a fun set of games that your choices actually matter. Because a lot of games that happen with card games and dice games, when we looked at them, they were very simple stuff. We're like, all right, you roll 3 dice. Did you get 6s? You win.
Right.
That's not really a game, that's an activity. We wanted you to have at least a minimum of choice. So each of these games has a minimum level of choice. It may not be the biggest choice in the world, and it may not be super, super impactful, but you got a choice in there somewhere. And there's a lot of different, some of them are far more complicated than others. Again, you can mix them into role-playing games. You can just play them yourself. I know friends who are very much like, this is how they sit out on a nice summer evening with a couple of beers, and they'll play cards outside on the picnic table, and they keep a pen with this book, and as they play it, they kind of give it a score from 1 to 10 and write down what they thought about it. So after they get through the book, they've kind of got to like, oh, I really like this one, and I like the way it went. I remember this. Well, what was the one we did? Oh, it was this. And it gave you basically an activity book for those evenings out, or that sitting around, and it let you do something as a group. I like those. I like that work. And this was in the vein of, if you remember the old Hoyle books.
A little bit, yeah.
So Hoyle did the rules according to Hoyle is what I had as a kid. It was a book of card games, and then what were the rules for those card games. And at the time, there was no internet, so the rules in the Midwest were different from the rules in the South, or the rules in the East, or the rules in England, or wherever, for the same game. But it was kind of a standardized set. So we, in the vein of those, we wanted, hey, these are games you can play with people, kids, adults, whatever. And it's stuff you have at home. D6s. D6s are cheap. You can get them. Deck of cards, 2 decks of cards, very cheap. You can get them. They don't have to be made of plastic.
You want to do a quick run of Bunker Buster here?
We can do Bunker Buster. 2 players. 9 standard 6-sided dice per player.
There we go.
I like it. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Paper and pencil for scoring. I think we could figure it out.
Yeah.
Orchestrate an artillery barrage against your opponent. Destroy their cannons before they can take out yours. At the start of the game, set 6 of your dice to show the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Done.
If you have a cannon, then make 3 pairs using these dice. Each pair represents 1 of your cannons. The sum of the dice is the value of that cannon. If you have a cannon of the value of 6 or less, you may use a single die to represent that cannon. Set the second die out of play. So we're gonna make some cannons here. Make a 3.
Make it 3.
All right. I've got mine set.
I got mine set.
I do not remember what the good idea and bad idea for this game.
I just took it. I made 3 7s.
You made 3 7s.
Yeah.
I made an 11 and 2 5s.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, as the game stated, change the 5 from 2 dice into 1, and change the 5 from 2 dice into 1. So
Set those aside for
that. Once you've built your cannons, the battle begins. Games played in rounds, each consisting of 2 phases. To start, phase 1 of a round, each player rolls 1 shot die for each cannon they have in play. At the start of the game, you will roll 3 shot dice, but this amount will be reduced as the game progresses. Try to match your shot dice to the values of your cannons. You may use 1 die or the sum of 2 or more dice to find a match. Each die or set of dice you can match to one of your cannons allows that cannon to fire in the next phase. Each cannon can only fire once per round, but you may fire more than 1 cannon in a single round. I may have made an error, but
likewise. Likewise.
For example, this book, by the way, everyone has. We tried to do examples in the back so that there was a show. You could see what was going on.
Right.
All right, we've got these cannons. We're gonna roll. 6, a 4, and a 1.
I can make a 7, so one of my cannons is firing.
One of my cannons in fire. You roll this once you have determined how much damage. So fire cannon. Once you've determined how much damage you are dealing to your opponent, you are ready for phase 2, resolving the damage. Each point of damage reduces the total value of one of your opponent's cannons by 1. The attacker decides where each point of damage is assigned. Adjust the dice for the targeted cannon to subtract 1 from its total value. Resolve each point of damage separately. If you're dealing with multiple points of damage, you may target the same opposing cannon multiple times in a round. When a cannon is at value 1, takes another point of damage, it is destroyed.
So each match, once
yeah.
it can do 1 point of damage.
It still fires before it is destroyed. Once all damage has been resolved, the round ends. If each player still has at least one surviving cannon, play another round. First one to destroy the other player's cannons wins. Here we go, Jimmy.
All right.
I fired one. You fired one. Where's
Okay.
yours? Oh, we have to decide. We should probably decide at the same time.
Right.
I know which one I'm taking.
I'm going to go one of your 5s.
One of my 5s goes down to a 4. One of your 7s goes down to a 6.
All right.
Okay.
Fire.
Got it. Okay.
That 6 is firing. I got 1 firing.
I got 1 firing.
All right.
I've got it. Got you. I think I know what I'm doing here. Okay.
I'm gonna hit your 5.
My 5 goes down to a 4. Your 6 goes down to a 5.
All right.
Okay.
I got a 7
I got a
firing.
4. I know where I'm going.
Me too.
Your 5 goes down to a 4.
Your 4 goes into a 3.
Yeah, it did. Okay, here we go. Okay. You got 1 firing.
I got 1 firing.
One of your 7s drops 1.
All right. That can become a 6. And your 3 becomes 2.
Yeah, it does. There we go. Ooh. Yes, sir. Got 1 firing.
1 firing.
Your 7 becomes a 6.
All right. And your 2 becomes a 1.
Yeah, it does.
Fire.
I got 2 firing.
I've got 2 firing.
Your 4 becomes a 2. It's going to get hit twice.
Okay. Your 1 goes away and your 4 becomes a 3.
Yeah, it does. I'm rolling 2 dice now.
2 hits.
I fire nothing.
We'll bring that to a 1.
Ruh-roh, I should have not done that 11. Nope.
2 hits. So your 1 goes away and your 11 becomes a 10.
My choices are nope.
Wait, that's a shot. Take your 10 down to a 9.
Is it 9? Oh, it's 1 die. Help.
2 shots.
Could be in trouble here.
2 hits.
So 9 goes down to 7.
Yep.
Nope.
I've got actually nothing.
Okay. Nope.
I've got one hit.
1 hit.
Yep.
My 7 becomes a 6. It becomes possible again.
2 hits.
Nope. 2 hits and 4. It's not looking good for Team Me.
Oh no.
Nope.
Any of that hit? No.
Nope. Uh-oh.
2 hits.
2. This is that 11 killed me. I
Yeah.
died in the setup phase by not remembering how to play. Nope.
That is 2 hits.
That stupid captain killed that crew.
So that's again quick thing. Once we remember the rules, went like that.
These
but
are
it's-
not meant to be half-hour deep games. They are. Let's play some. We'll throw some dice around. We'll have a good time.
And again, they can easily be something you could be saying playing casually in a tavern, or cool. We want to simulate some artillery fires
Yes.
going on.
This
How's the battle going?
This
Quick,
is what you're up against.
run a quick thing. It doesn't have to be stuff. We're gonna go ahead and see if there's any questions here. But there's a lot of those games in those books.
A ton of, like 20 per book.
Yeah, at least 20 per book, yeah. Let's see, Solitaire. We love Gelatinous. Gelatinous is a great quick game. I've thought about bringing it out as well, but we showed that one fairly frequently. Dragon and Skull dice are cool. Those are cool dice, and we've got a couple mini micro games to go with those. Like to see similar book of games to play with RPG dice. The default set. So games with a set of 7 polyhedrals. That's an idea.
We had it. It's harder, because not as many people have multiple sets of polyhedrals laying around. And how many do you have of each? Certainly
Right.
we could require you to buy them, but we had to put limits on them, and I don't think I know we were working on it. I don't know if it ever came to fruition.
Yeah. So basically, all sorts of things you can do with these games in your role-playing games is as just casual games. Because they're all dice and a couple little booklets, like get a big dice bag, you can carry all these with you. Another thing to note is we do have which die tastes the best. Dibs on not trying that one.
Batman
Not,
Pajama.
not the
That-
Jawbreaker, the everlasting gobstopper of
look at it.
dice.
These look like they would taste the best. This one looks like it tastes absolutely foul.
That looks like it's like the grandma's candy.
Not even. It looks old. You found it
I think it looks like mint.
laying out in the sun. In person, not mint. Kind of cat pee yellow sort of thing, and not quite.
Old
Peppermint.
scroll,
Like
old
scroll.
paper. Yeah.
Lamb skin that you've written on, hide. Yeah, that I wouldn't eat that one. Well, I
Probably
would,
made
but
a bone.
it's got
Right.
some bones on it and some animal gut. Look, it's fine.
But yeah, these are all things that you can
Will
play.
it
Great to
kill
play on your
you?
own.
Yes.
Good to play on. Good to use in conjunction with your role-playing games in a lot of cases. Either as in-world games, as aids, as jumping-off points for stuff. Just fun ideas and cool dice to have around.
Yeah.
Another thing to note is next week we are going to be, if you are a retailer or publisher or distributor, we'll be at Gamma
Is it next
Trade
week
Show.
already?
We're leaving in a couple of days.
Louisville, Kentucky. Here I come.
So you'll see Randy and I will be out there showing off games to you all at Gamma. Back here at the studio, Brandon and a couple people are probably going to be doing some Munchkin digital so that we can get Will and maybe a couple of people remotely in to play that game. So you can come in and watch us play Munchkin as a computer game. We also have next week on the 3rd through the 7th our GM's Day sale. It's going to go the 4th through the 7th. Right, because 3rd's Sunday. We're going to be there. You go, sale.
So
GM's Day sale for a lot of role playing stuff. So while you're there, if any of these tools sound like cool things for your role playing games, you might add them on to your sale, your stuff you're picking up. And join our Discord. We'll be going to talk about stuff in there. The forbidden candies, yes, the forbidden candies.
that you buy them, they're your candies. They're your candies now.
Could. So I could put that in my mouth.
It's about getting it out of your mouth.
Yeah,
It's
and then
really-
the ER shows, the ambulance shows up to pry it out later.
It's a very violent Heimlich maneuver that we are about to impose upon you.
But I want to thank everybody for dropping by and coming and joining us today. Come check some of these out. If any of them sounded cool to you, these are all in stock right now. I saw them all out there, so we still have copies of all these available. And we will see you guys next week here on SJ Games Live. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Good to see ya.
Take it easy.